Wow. Are you going to stay over there, Doug?
Just for the beginning part.
Okay. I think he always had like a picture in a picture or something. Didn't he have like two views? He had both views.
He did, yeah. We had that up.
Oh, there's, I see Wayne and Rich. Okay, and Mary. Okay. Yeah. It looks like you're sitting in front of us right there.
You can't really see where the split is.
Right.
It's really weird.
It looks like just front row seats. Right, we ready? Called order 7:17. First is flag salute. Roll call.
Ms. Bollenbacher,
Here.
Mr. Chandler.
Here.
Perfect. Ms. Compatella,
Here.
Mr. Lavasser,
Here.
Mr. Marks is absent. Mr. Oliverio,
Here.
Mr. Radilla,
Here.
Mayor Perry,
Here.
Solicitor Corbel,
Here.
and myself. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Consent agenda.
I am also here.
All right, Justin, we got you.
Okay. All right, the approval of the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from April 14th and the bill list were both listed on the OneDrive. Motion to approve the April 28th, 2022 consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Vince, Philip, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please sign in and or raise your hand on Zoom and state your name and physical address for the record.
Ms. Mary Luxbacher is here.
Okay. Yeah, I think go right up there, Mary.
We also have a clean up Crafton litter supply behind the Borough building. People were, if anybody's interested, we have trash bags, bottles that can be collected. Like needed garbage. A lot of the alleys really need to have, so if that's something you'd like to do, please stop by. And if you are a homeowner, please check the records, because that's it's put out, and a lot of times to just kind of work the actually 3 generations of my family that have worked. It always open on Wednesday. And I do understand that sometimes staffing, I think just opening for the weekends really makes it nice. And it does kind of bother me that other people don't want to because they're like, oh, we're losing 2 weeks. And then last year it closed for a week. And just something to think about. And that's just a citizen. But thank you so much, and thank you for all the people who work. It's a lifetime, like you say, lifetime friends working there, and it is a fun place to live. Thank you.
Ms. Luxembourg, for next Wednesday, what was the time? You didn't mention this. 7 p.m. and it's in Crafton Park.
It's at the Crafton Park, and we're probably going to be the one shelter that's very close to the pool. Will probably, hopefully, it won't
Right.
rain. There.
It'll rain.
And then we can always. We did plant some trees last year. It's always nice to kind of check them out.
Thank you. Is there? Okay. All right. And anybody on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay. All right.
May I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I'd just like to thank Mrs. Luxbacher for her dedicated service to the borough. I mean, through thick and thin, you've come here in good health and poor health. And I understand everything you've done, and then you're an inspiration to all of us. I mean, because you never give up and you're always here. I really appreciate it.
She was my first boss on council. All right, and she still is, actually, the shade tree. Acknowledge receipt of written reports from March of 2022, including financial statement, Act 511, and trash collection, property tax collection, police, EMS, building inspection, and code enforcement. These were all on the OneDrive. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of those reports? All right. President's report. I was going to mention about the Arbor Day celebration since we missed out on the agenda, but I don't have anything else to report. Mayor's report.
Nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Solicitor's report.
Only report is that we'll have a short executive session to discuss potential litigation matters and for council to receive the legal advice of the solicitor. No action to follow. That's the end of my report.
Great. Thank you. Manager's report.
I submitted a written report, and then I actually have 2 additional announcements to make. I had a conversation today regarding the trails, proposed trails that came out of the master site plan, the Creekside Trail, and then the trail along Chartiers Woodlawn. We are going to be applying for the active Allegheny grant for the feasibility studies to see if those for building those trails. And then we'll also be applying to the state as a CFA program as well. So there will be resolutions at our May 12th meeting for those 2 applications. They require a 15% match, which is minimal. Estimated cost of the feasibility studies are around $30,000. So just to let everybody know that will be coming.
May I ask you a question, manager? With regards to the pool, could you talk about the pool schedule and the details revolving around the June 12th start date, please?
I've spoken with our manager at the pool. She's been there for, I think this will be her 4th year. With Carlington, with their school schedule, it was determined that the best starting date would be June, I believe it is 11th, is what we're slated to open.
It was also discussed in the community recreation, community events committee at length, actually, on the starting time, along with the availability of staff and the timing from the cost associated with opening the pool versus the number of people that can actually work it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to the standing committee reports, finance and administration. Ms. Perry.
Oh, yes, we have a motion on the table today for financing the purchase of a vehicle, which is on our 2022 budget. So this is no variation to our budget. It is just an administrative function. So it's for the building and code vehicle lease purchase financing resolution. The borough will be expanding. We'll be purchasing a 2022 Ford Escape. The current building and code vehicle is a 2013 Explorer, which was before that a police vehicle. So we have a total cost of $26,890, and it's being purchased through a CoStar's contract. Huntington Public Capital Corporation is going to be providing the financing through a lease purchase. The term is 3 years with an interest rate of 3.8%. And then the borough will own the vehicle after the final payment. The payments will be coming from the operating fund and have been appropriately budgeted, as I mentioned. So seeking a motion to adopt resolution 2022-011, entering into a lease purchase agreement with Huntington Public Capital Corporation for the purchase of the 2022 Ford Escape.
So moved.
Mr. Lavasser, second.
Second.
Ms. Compitello, discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Great. Motion passes. Ms. Perry, anything additional for finance and administration?
Our nothing since the last meeting. Our meeting will be coming up next Thursday, so I'm sure we will have more at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Community services and infrastructure, Ms. Compitello.
Sure. Couple of minor items before we go to the agenda, just updates. The Planning Commission met on Tuesday and passed a motion to recommend that council please put out the public notice once the zoning consultant is officially selected. There was one that was prepared a few months ago and was put on hold until we had a consultant selected. So that was a recent motion made by the Planning Commission this week. Also an update on the master park site plan that was presented previously to council, and just an update on the next steps of it. It is going to DCNR to be reviewed. They may have a review period as suits their schedule, maybe up to 10 weeks before it comes back to this council to be formally approved. Per the request from our council president, there's also a final steering committee meeting that's being scheduled. Beyond that, going on to our agenda items here, the fire inspection ordinance, the borough's fire inspection ordinance does need to be updated to eliminate confusing and duplicated information. The International Fire Code, which the borough has adopted, doesn't specifically require these inspections. However, Crafton chose to implement these inspections when it passed ordinance number 1654 in 2019. This ordinance requires each commercial multifamily of 3 or more units, assembly such as churches, industrial and institutional such as group homes, to pay for an annual inspection to identify and mitigate potential fire hazards. That fire inspection ordinance, our public works and the borough manager have been working on ordinance updates. And so those are in progress. This is just an update that they're being worked on. And we'll probably have those at an upcoming meeting to review and to pass.
I do have a question. My recollection of this ordinance is that it's a biannual, not an annual inspection.
I think that's right, but I don't recall off the top of my, we could easily check that.
Okay, thank you.
In any case, it is still being worked on and finalized before it comes before us for a full review.
Yes, but in the packet was the draft language was with the changes from the current ordinance 1654. So if there's any questions on that, please give me a call. I can discuss.
The next item is about the Act 152 demolition grant application. The Act 152 Allegheny County Blight Removal Program is accepting application for demolition and blight remediation planning. The borough is applying for the demolition of 11 Fountain Street, 64 South Grandview Avenue, 82 Belvedere Avenue, and 164 Fountain Street. Projects are funded to a maximum of $250,000. Matching funds are not required, but priority will be given where a match is committed. The borough will contribute a match of 15%, which has already been contributed or has already been accounted for, in bond projects. Total project is estimated at $284,000 with a grant offset of $224,400 and a total borough contribution of $59,600, which is a 15% match of $39,600 and engineering inspection costs of $20,000. So overview, we are going to request a grant to demolish those properties. So I'm going to go ahead and make that motion. Move to adopt resolution 2022-12, requesting a grant of. First, we were able to knock it down slightly since this was printed. So that initial cost that was printed on the agenda that was posted was $224,400. That was reduced at the last minute. We were able to get it a bit lower. So the current amount is $216,775. And that's a lot of numbers. So I'm trying not to get twisted in them. So I'll start over. Move to adopt resolution 2022-12, requesting a grant of the new lower cost of $216,775 from the Act 152 program for the demolition of 11 Fountain Street, 64 South Grandview Avenue, 82 Belvedere Avenue, and 164 Fountain Street.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Vassar and Ms. Bollenbacher, second. Any discussion?
Have these properties been inspected and then like made sure like there's no other use for them, like they can't be saved?
Yes, our building inspector has looked at these 11 Fountain and 64. These are properties that we have been applying for in the past. They are beyond repair as well as these two.
And if we do find somebody in the future to try to rehab one of these properties, we can always not take the funding and still progress, right?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
And then real quick, once they are torn down, would these lots be available for the side yard, Allegheny side yard? I forget what it's called, that program.
Yeah, so we would place a lien on these properties. And then they could be available through that side yard program. But because we have the lien, much like the the Bar Avenue property, we would not put these forth because of the active liens on them.
Mr. President, I'd like to add a discussion item for the first meeting in May to discuss the Allegheny County side yard program and the condition of some of the properties that are on the list to see if there's any other options such as conservatorship or any other ways to market the properties to try to get them back on the rolls.
Right, under consideration for next month. Any more discussion?
Call the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oops. Opposed? Wait, motion passes.
Right, and going right, going right along with that is another motion to adopt resolution 2022-13 regarding those same properties, identifying 11 Fountain Street, 64 South Grandview Avenue, 82 Belvedere Avenue, and 164 Fountain Street as blighted properties.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Call the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Oops, sorry, there's a delay on the video. Opposed? All right, motion passes.
All right, moving on to our next order of business, the change order for the Crafton Boulevard streetscape. We discussed this in the council meeting in our last meeting. We went over the details and the various things involved in that. Today, it's being brought to vote before council. The change order would be to add the phase 2 installation of the conduit, the lamp bases, and the roadway improvements to the Crafton Boulevard streetscape project. So I'm making a motion to approve the change order to Independent Enterprises for the phase 2 installation of the conduit, lamp bases, and road improvements for the Crafton Boulevard streetscape project in the amount of $267. 700.
Allison.
Too many numbers tonight. $267,745.
So moved.
Wait, Mr. Lavasser,
Second.
Mr. Marks, second. Discussion? Wait, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Two opposed?
Okay, motion passes 5-2.
Okay. Next.
So the last item is about the multi-municipal zoning project. The Crafton Ingram Interview Committee unanimously recommends ZoneCo to be selected as the consultant for the multi-municipal zoning project. The two boroughs have been awarded a DCED grant for a 50% match to complete a zoning update, which will be equally divided between the communities. The estimated cost of the project is $100,000. That means $50,000 per community, and with a 50% grant match, that means Crafton Borough's share would be $25,000. The interview committee was comprised of 3 members from each community, 3 members from Crafton, 3 members from Ingram. The proposals are all posted on the council, the council drive, and the interviews were also recorded and posted on the council drive. But again, this is a multi-municipal plan, so we have to be making a decision along with our partners in Ingram. So with that, I'm making a motion to award the Crafton Ingram multi-municipal zoning project to ZoneCo in the amount of $100,000 per the recommendation of the interview committee and the concurrence of the Borough of Ingram.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lavasser, Mr. Radilla, discussion?
I'd just like to say you did a very nice job on the committee leading that. I watched all the interviews last week when I was on vacation, so I thought it was very well done. And I'm very excited that WSP is working under ZoneCo to help. Breen is going to bring a lot to the table, so I think this is very exciting for our municipality to have that type of a support behind us.
Good. Further discussion? I also want to acknowledge the same thing from the RFP process, the recommendation to go to RFP versus accepting what was done prior. And in addition to the committee, the time spent the committee went through and all of the information that was presented, this was very impressive. And this is such an important project. One thing I do want to mention is that this being passed by us tonight does not guarantee that this moves through. It also has to be passed by Ingram Council. for it to move through. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Wait, motion passes. Anything else?
That's the end for my committee. I guess Ingram is not here, but I will just say I appreciate the time everybody put in. And this is a process that we initially did without another municipal partner. And it was quite a lot to take on a multi-municipal selection process. So I appreciate the time that people on both sides put in. It's really nice that we had a unanimous vote from the selection.
Do you know when their meeting is? Do you know when their council meeting is?
I don't know for sure. They mentioned it may be May 9th, but I'm not
Okay.
sure if it was, I'm not sure if it will be on the agenda then.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Do you, and I'll also ask, do you need anybody there to support this from us, from Crafton?
Not that I know of, and they did have a unanimous vote from the selection committee members on their side as well. But I will reach out and ask if that would be, if they would like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Communication, recreation, and community events, Mr. Marks.
Let me know if you can't hear me okay. So
Great.
yeah, we have an agenda item here for the seasonal help hiring for 2022. As you all know, we hire a number of seasonal people to help out with the pool and with public works as work kind of ramps up around those two things. Doug, was the info for this was up in the drive, right?
Correct.
Cool. So we got a motion here to move to approve the 2022 seasonal positions as submitted by both the pool manager and the public works foreman.
So moved.
Ms. Ballenbacher, second.
Second.
Mr. Lavasser, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, yeah, and then we have upcoming community events, right? There was an announcement put out for the June 4th event in the park. So you can definitely check that out. If you have a car you're thinking about bringing down, please reach out to the rec board or check out the website. You can get all the info on there. And during our last committee meeting, we did take the time to go through a number of the newsletter survey results. Right, we've heard a couple of pieces of feedback around trying to highlight some more local, just kind of local things going on. So we're taking that into consideration and seeing how we might be able to integrate that in the next issue. And yeah, we're going to continue working through starting to ramp up our app, putting out some asks for content for the next issue. I'm trying to, when did we say we were going to be shooting for that? Remind me. Doug or Coletta, I think you guys probably remember.
Early June.
So if you're out there, anyone in Crafton, and you're looking to get some information highlighted in the next newsletter, please reach out sometime between now and mid-May probably. But we'll be putting some things together, requesting for more information to be submitted to there. So that's all I got.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Marks? Okay. Commission's vacancy, Mr. Chandler.
Yes, so not a ton to report. We have been working with doing interviews. Ms. Bollenbach and I have been working on doing interviews for some of the applications that we've received. We've pretty much wrapped up everything that we have. I have one left that I need to do. But other than that, we are moving right along with adding people into these boards and commissions. And with that, I have a motion on the table to appoint Chris Nicholson to the Recreation Board for a 4-year term set to expire on February 28th of 2025.
So moved.
Ms. Ballenbacher,
Second.
Mr. Lavasser, discussion? Chris's information was all in the OneDrive too. Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Anything additional? Go ahead.
Nope, that was all I had. I just want to say that with that, we have been able to fill all of the vacant seats on the rec board. And with the last few motions that we had during the last meeting, we were able to also fill the Shade Tree Commission as well. And that is definitely much progress. So glad to have that happening.
Great. And we do still have some openings. We've extended the deadline. So again, anybody interested or any recommendations can still apply through the website and go through the interview process. And we will likely be reconvening as a committee to talk about the strategies to fill those other roles. All right. And I want to acknowledge the committee's hard work on interviewing, scheduling, and making the recommendations. Council of Governments, Mr. Verdella.
Hello. So unfortunately, I missed the last meeting due to a work emergency. But I did email the COG and ask for some highlights. So once I receive those, I will email them out to council. That's it. Thank you.
Do you know when the next meeting is?
I do not have it written down, but I will
For our next.
in the email.
Okay, great. Okay, community announcements. Our next meeting is May 12th at 7:15. Crafton Community Cleanup, Ms. Luxembacher talked a little bit about this. This event is scheduled for April 30th at Crafton Park from 9 to 12. Items being collected include the following: building materials, bulk items, household clutter, yard debris, and small appliances. Items not being collected are tires, rims, auto parts, refrigerators, AC units, paint, and electronic waste, and also TVs, right?
Correct.
No TVs.
No TV.
Okay.
Make a comment about that.
Absolutely.
Please call Waste Management. We pay for that in our program, along with hazardous waste, household paint, spray cans, anything that you can't put in your trash can, call that number and they will help you properly dispose of. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Vendor fair and car cruise. This is what Mr. Marks had mentioned. Join the Parks and Recreation Board for a fun evening of shopping and voting on your favorite car on June 4th. There is more information to come. If you're interested in applying for a vendor spot or registering a car, I believe these are vintage cars. Please visit the website for more information. Okay, an important announcement here is regarding the Crafton voting locations. The American Legion is no longer a voting location for Crafton. So election day is actually May 17th for the primary, and we will have, there is a website which is on the agenda here, and you can also go to the Allegheny County website to find the polling locations. I believe there have been changes. It will be St. Matthew's Church, Hawthorne Presbyterian, the community center or the elementary school, and also this location here, the community center. So we will have 4 locations, but please check your location based on your ward and district before going to vote. All right. Any additional comments from council?
Yeah, I do.
Sure. Go ahead.
So with regards to the work that was done on the communications and recreation concerning the pool, just could you add a little more color to the decision making, and just so we can fully understand like why weekends weren't an option this time, and just curious.
Yeah, I think as we had discussed, and Mr. Marks and Mr. Sample can also address, but it was a staffing issue and also a cost issue relative to opening the pool during that time and then having it closed and trying to get people to work for that time period. So it wasn't beneficial for us to open earlier.
And with regards to the the rates established for salary for the manager, all that was what was taken into account with the duration of the season. And then with regards to pool passes, are they going to be prorated or we're just going to charge the same? Or we're charging the new rates, but it's based off of a shorter season.
Yeah, the rates were approved at a prior council meeting. So we already went through, we had that discussion at a prior council meeting and approved all the rates. There was at length discussion on the committee regarding the various rates, whether it be senior, pool passes, residents, non-residents.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I don't know if it was clear to council when we set the rates that the rates were set for a shorter season.
Thought we had the season intact by the time we had those rates, but the season was the same as last year's shortened season. Actually, it's a little bit longer because of the extension into August.
Thank you.
And from the rate perspective, which we did talk about during council meeting, there's a significant increase in the wages, an increase that we have never seen from a dollar standpoint. So it was a very significant increase, which also had to be taken into account because of the labor market.
Thank you.
May I make a comment around that?
Sure.
I just this past week attended the Connect executive session. And one of the topics of discussion was were the rates and how much difficulty that many of the municipalities who did not raise their rates are having. So the fact that we do have a full complement of staff underscores the wise decision to raise those rates.
I would suggest just for communication to educate the community as to the performance and why the decisions were made. I'm not arguing one way or another. I just trying to get the explanation out to the public, because I too have been interrupted during dinners at Olive Garden about the subject. People walk by and they're like, hey, what's going on with the pool? So Mrs. Luxembacher wasn't feigning anything. It is really something that's, going around the community. Thank you.
Not to belabor the point, but we did not raise rates for residents of Crafton. Only non-residents were raised. And as we've stated, we had a 33% increase in cost associated with the increased wages in order to obtain the lifeguards.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please raise your hand on Zoom or in the audience here, since we took the sheet, and state your name and physical address for the record.
No one online has raised their hand.
All right. That ends our council meeting. Meeting adjourned. Right. Thanks, everyone.
Now we're doing